Right, no messing around, let's talk about it. Elden Ring is one of the best games I have played in years. I'd honestly go as far as to say it's probably one of the best games I have ever played. It is definitely risen straight away into my top 5, probably even top 3 at a push. And that's putting against some games that, I have literally loved my whole life, you know what I mean? So when I've played games when I was younger and I've kind of played them, gone back to them, played them again and again, played new versions of them, Elden Ring has jumped into that category very, very quickly. I say very quickly like I haven't put 150 hours into it, so this is definitely a well-formed opinion. This is not something I've kind of, this is not 20 hours in, I've just gone, oh, this is a great game, like, because everyone's talking about it. This really is an unbelievably good game in so many ways. So let's quickly dive into why I like this game so much. The main thing about this game really is the exploration. That is the one thing that I think really kind of sets it apart from so many games. And I know Souls games have always kind of had this vibe of like, kind of being a bit obscure, not really telling you that much and kind of letting you find stuff on your own. And that works well. It's worked well in the past. It's why these Souls games have been popular to this point. But I think what Elden Ring does differently is it does that in an open world. And I think when people heard that this game was going to be open world, they sort of thought, oh, I don't know how that formula is going to transfer into that kind of setting, but what it does is it boosts that level of discovery and community and exploration by 1,000. It puts that on the same par as a game like Skyrim. There's a reason why Skyrim has been remastered like 20 times. It's on every console. It's because it's unbelievably popular and it sells. Even today, it still sells. You know what I mean? People still buy that game because it's so good. Elden Ring has that vibe. Now, of course, it does have the Souls combat and the Souls obscurity and kind of weird things and stuff, and I know that puts some people off, and to be honest, that is absolutely fair enough. I've always been of the opinion that if you don't like Souls games, it's a fair point, you know what I mean? They're not going to be for everyone. However, I think Elden Ring is the most for everyone game that they've ever made. There are small tweaks here and there which make the game a lot more open to people. I don't want to use the word accessible because accessibility is a whole different thing in games, and that's something that this game probably isn't very good at, but it's just much more open. A lot more people will be able to play this game. I've been telling people that don't play Souls games, that have never played Souls games, to play this game because I think there's something in it. There's something in it that people will enjoy, that people get a lot out of, even if they don't normally like that kind of Dark Souls combat style. Now look, that's not to say that the Dark Souls stuff isn't still there. It is, this game plays exactly like Demon Souls. For example, if you played that last year. I played Demon Souls, it was the first Souls game I'd really played, so I'm by no means an expert at this type of thing. And I really liked Demon Souls, I beat the game, I played it with my friends, it was a really good time, but it didn't have most of the things that I think stand this game out and make it so much better than that. And don't get me wrong, Demon Souls was a remake, so it's completely unfair. Demon Souls is an old game that was remade and kind of brought to life. So what is it really does have on top of that? So the main things I think set this game apart are summons. So you can now summon in different creatures and different beings and people and stuff like that, and it's offline, it's part of your single player story. It's things you pick up in the world. You might do a mission. I say a mission, there's no quest, but you might do a thing in the open world and you come across a jellyfish, and then you'll receive the jellyfish ashes and you can summon that jellyfish in your fight. So what this does is it kind of brings multiplayer into the game when you're playing single player. So you've still got the choices to do multiplayer, but what it does is it lets you have that kind of multiplayer Dark Souls feeling, but on your own, and that's a huge game changer, because personally for me, I don't know that I'd have got through Demon Souls without my friends. I was playing with other people, I was kind of, beating these bosses that were super hard and were just gonna, literally kill me in, a couple of hits. But with 2 people there or 3 people there, you've got this kind of push-pull against, like, oh, well, the enemy's looking at this guy, so I can kind of get some hits in whilst he's looking, and then I'll turn around and look at me, and I'll defend, and that other person can get some hits in. And you kind of micromanage these bosses by, like, moving them around the group. You can now do that in single player, and that is a huge game changer that made the game so much more fun for me. In regards to the actual multiplayer, they have simplified that slightly. It's still a little obscure. There's no parties, there's no lobbies. You can't just kind of join your mates and play the whole game. But what you can do is basically, like, there's an item in the game you get really early on, you just use that, and then basically your mates can just use the other item and kind of get brought to you. Like, it's very easy. They've made them like super easy to craft, so like you'll never run out. Like within the first 2 hours of the game, I had like 50 of these. Like you're never going to run out, it's not an issue. So you can basically do it whenever. You also have the ability just to use this item in the game whenever, and then you'll see all the kind of multiplayer stuff on the ground. So you'll see, oh, there's a random guy there, I can bring him in, you know what I mean? Or, oh, there's a random thing there, I can bring them in. And that gives you the ability to kind of never have to play it on your own. So like, you don't have voice chat, you don't have any communication beyond the emotes in the game, but it means you can just anytime you're struggling with anything, you pretty much can be like, oh, I'll just bring someone in and see if they can help me out. And you know, they are leveled, so you know, theoretically they'll be kind of close level to you, but what it means is that every now and then you'll get someone who comes in and it's really helpful if it's going to do some real damage to this boss, or kind of, you know, show you essentially the way to beat this enemy. And again, it's just a huge game changer. Like, it's been present in the old games, but they have simplified it, and it makes a massive difference to my enjoyment of this game, which again I think would be too hard, if I'm honest, for me single player. There is definitely a bit of a weird community around these games, I have to admit. There's definitely some gatekeeping that goes on online. I've said from the beginning, I have no issue at all with kind of making these games as easy for you as possible, because they are hard, they're designed to be hard, but a lot of the times there's ways you can make things easier, and they're all in the game. You know what I mean? There's not cheating in my opinion. Like, you know, there's items in the game that, you know, this boss will be super kind of like weak against and stuff like that, and if you can find that out, whether that's on your own or whether you use a guide, whether you see something online, you watch a YouTube video about someone that tells you that, like, you know what I mean, you've discovered it. Like, it doesn't matter how you discover it, whether it's in game or not, you and the community have discovered that thing and then gone on to kind of beat that boss, and the satisfaction's still there, for me at least. For some players it won't, they'll want to kind of be super hardcore and do it a certain way, but for me, it's all about beating it. You know what I mean? When you beat the boss, no matter how you do it, even if you find the cheesiest way of doing it, hiding around a corner, throwing someone at this boss, like, you get the satisfaction that you beat the boss, you worked out how to kill it, and that is something that not many games give you. That satisfaction loop of like, I did it, I did that bit, that was really hard. You know, you just get it constantly. The amount of times I'd come to a new area or a new boss and be like, oh my days, this is so hard. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, and the first like 5 times you just get your ass whooped, and you're like, fucking hell, like, what am I gonna do here? I can't. You think, am I underleveled or whatever? And then you kind of try something else, and you do something else, and you go, oh, that worked really well. Like, that did loads of health. Maybe I could kill this guy. And then, or you kind of work out his patterns, you work out the routines of the enemy, and you're like, oh shit, if I dodge there, like, I don't get hit by that. Cool. And then you kind of go through this process, and it's really cathartic, and like, you get to a point where you're like, I can definitely beat this boss now. And of course, then sometimes you'll spend the next 2 hours trying to do it, but you never feel like you're wasting time because you're always kind of progressing. I think the other thing that the open world structure has allowed for is actually kind of not getting too frustrated with anything ever, because for most of the game, like through most parts of the game, most different areas and stuff, if you're really struggling with something, like, you just leave. You know what I mean? Just literally leave, go and do something else and come back later. Like, it gives you that ability to, you know, admit defeat, go, I can't do that, I'm just, you know, it's just killing me so quickly, I can't do any damage to it, whatever. And then you go out and do something else, and the game is so big and so vast and so deep as well, that you can just literally go and do something else and then come back in 5-10 levels time, and then you're like, oh, yeah, now I'm clearly leveled enough, I can do this boss. And it never walls you out, it never says, you know, you don't get these kind of like, you know, level icons that you get in a lot of games where it's like, right, that boss is level 120, you can't attack it. You don't get any of that. It's just natural, and that's the thing. I think it's the best thing I can say about this game overall. It's so natural. So yeah, I'm not going to go on too long because there's literally so much I could say about this game, and it's just a hugely vast experience in every way. But if you want a game that's like super satisfying, really, really fun to explore, loads of interesting kind of storylines and quests going on and stuff, and you don't mind combat that's going to sort of push you and frustrate you and actually make you kind of learn stuff and really kind of get your teeth into what a boss is doing and stuff like that, then I can't recommend this game enough. I could speak for hours on it, but you know, I'd want to keep this video short. So yeah, Elden Ring, if you want a new game and you kind of think this looks interesting at all, I would say go in, dive in head first. You know, don't be afraid to look at wikis, don't be afraid to kind of, you know, read around it a bit and stuff if it's going to help you, especially if you're stuck. You know, you don't need to if you're smashing it, but if you're stuck, look at builds, look at kind of ways to be more powerful in the game and stuff like that. It will only help your experience, in my opinion. And then just go and enjoy it, and see you on the other side.